So I like to share with you guys what tools I'm using to make games, to make them faster, to make them better. And a lot of times that leads to the asset store. For example, my previous video was about how to render 360 video, and that's using VR Panorama 360 Pro renderer. And sometimes when assets don't exist, we go out and make them, and then we put them on the asset store, and that's for the like VR body, and of course we have a lot of assets on the asset store. But a lot of times I'm using tools from the asset store that other people build, like Pro Builder. I've already done tutorials on this because I think Pro Builder is an awesome tool for making and prototyping inside of the Unity editor. Now, when it comes to the UI, and I do a lot of UI stuff with VR, but when it comes to UI, some of my favorite assets are from Digital Legacy Games. It's an indie developer based out of South Africa, and I love this developer. Really great assets, work awesome, and the price is right on the dot. Now, I've already reached out to Digital Legacy and I said, hey, I want to do a tutorial or at least an intro, an overview of your assets. Can you please give me a couple codes? So I have 3 codes to give away for each one of these assets, and I'm going to be going over how each one works in future videos. Today, we're looking at Paged Rect, which is a paging solution for your UIs. Now, I've already imported Paged Rect into this project, so I'm going to click UI, and I have pagination support. I can create horizontal, vertical, all these different types, but let me just create a horizontal one and press play. And you can see that right off the bat we get a UI that has different pages built in, and we can go between them, we can go all the way to the end. And looking at the canvas, we have a horizontal pagination game object, and this is where Digital Legacy's games assets really shine through, is on the custom inspectors. So you can see here, there's full control right here in the inspector over everything. So you shouldn't have to set up basically any coding or anything like that. It has full control over how the pages work, how the animation works, how the automation works, how new pages are treated, the input, whether you're going to use keyboard input, mobile input, the scroll wheel on the mouse, how the highlight works, the events that happen when you go through the when you change the page, how the page previews work. So there's really good control over everything right here in the inspector. Now, of course, if I want to edit the content, I could go down to my viewport and edit what is on each page. But the default paged solution is working great. So I'm going to go ahead and let's delete this canvas. I'm going to make a new UI, Pagination. Let's do a vertical one. And here we're going to see it works just like the horizontal one does, but we get the vertical buttons, and we have all the same control over how the pages work right here. All right, going down the list, let's make another UI Pagination slider. This one, of course, is going to give us the slider, and you can see we could just click the little dot and we can go between the different slides, or we can drag the mouse, and dragging the mouse here will go between the 3 slides. So the slider is a very nice, easy to use, and of course all of these have the same options on them, so we got full control right there in the inspector over how the different pages work. Another one, we've got the horizontal pagination with a scroll rect. Okay, so the scroll rect works just like the regular horizontal page, except it's one huge scroll rect. So these aren't separate pages, and you can see if I look at the viewport, you can see there's only one viewport. There's not 5 different viewports. So it's just sliding between different areas of the scroll rect. And that probably makes more sense if I go to the scene view and click on the sizing panel. You can see that the sizing panel is this big. And so if I go to page 1, I'm going to be way over here. And then if I go onto page 5, you can see it's over here. So this is using a scroll rect to slide between the different pages. But it's just one scroll rect component. Now the same thing happens for the vertical pagination scroll rect. We get one viewport. So if I click on the content and I slide this up, you can see that everything's on one scroll rect. So when I hit play and I go to page 2, it's just moving between where it should be to show that page. So that's a really nice feature, whether or not you want to use individual pages or you want to use a scroll rect to slide between where it should display the different pages. And the same thing works for the slider. Of course, this just puts the slider onto one big scroll rect and sliding between them. So let's take a look at the page previews horizontal. Now page previews are really cool. This is like something that you would see on mobile or any UI. This would even work like a good UI for VR. But it shows the little previews. You can see the previous and the next one, and I can click to go between those, or just use the keyboard keys to go between them. And looking at the canvas, we have all of the same controls over these pages as we do with any other solution that we use in this project. So all of these have the same options. It's just how do you want to go between the different I think the page previews is a really nice way to slide between the different pages. Of course, you get the same thing with the vertical page previews, and you can go through them like this. And we're also going to look at the slider scroll rect with a nested scroll rect. And this is really cool because it lets us swipe between these different pages, but they slide to different pages horizontally, but in each page we can slide up and down vertically. So if I, like this one, we can see it can scroll vertically. So here we have paged rect, which scroll horizontally, and they actually scroll vertically as well. So this is a very handy UI tool right there. And let's look at the last one here. It is the tabs, and I really like this setup. Of course, you got tab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and going through the different tabs, we just, of course, got our content on each tab. And yes, we have the nice options to control everything exactly how it's going to work and look. So this is a very nice solution for anything that has to do with creating pages of content in the Unity UI and easily switching between those pages. So here I am in one of the demo scenes, and we can see the basic examples. Here we have, let's start off with the horizontal, dynamically generate buttons based on editable templates, optional first last buttons, optional next previous buttons, and there's options here to full control over everything. Optional animations, you can set the animation type, you can set the animation speed, whether you're going to slide or fade, slide vertical, slide horizontal. I like the fade there. There's optional automation, automatically scroll through each pages, so you can automatically loop between those pages. We can use page numbers and or page titles for button text. So we can use the page numbers, and it's automatically changing the page on me because I told it to do that. And then we can optionally limit the number of visible page buttons. So the number of buttons that are visible, we can have control over that. I'm going to turn off the endless loop and the automatically scroll through pages. And I'm going to change these there we go. That's starting to look better. Let's make more buttons visible. There we go. That should be a good number. And we can optionally respond to keyboard bindings. We can optionally respond to mobile input on the swipes. We can optionally highlight page rect on mouse over. So there's tons of options, and like I said, all of these are easy to control and right there in the inspector. Now on the vertical, we're going to be looking at the same exact UI here with all the same options. And then the dynamic pages, you can see we're at the main page. We can add or remove pages dynamically at runtime. So I'm going to say add page. And you can see it added a page 2, and it says this is a dynamically added pages. It's page number 2. So we can add another one. We can disable the last or enable pages. We can remove pages. Now let's go to the slider. We've already seen how this slider works. This is a really nice slider. Character creation. There's an example character creation screen here. This is crazy. So I'm going to put my guy's name in and pick his avatar. I guess I'm going to go for this guy. He's a warrior. And then I can go to stats. I'm going to need some strength. I definitely need some more wisdom. That's good for me. And intelligence. There we go. That's a bad warrior, actually. That's a terrible warrior. All right, I created a new character. So nice example of a character creation screen using these tools. And then we get the scroll rect examples. Now we've looked at most of these. We've got the slider. We've got the tabs. We've got the horizontal previews, the vertical previews, and the nested scroll rect, where you could slide pages vertically but swipe between different pages horizontally. So I have 3 codes from Digital Legacy Games to give away a copy of Page Rect. What I'm going to do is just the first 3 comments are going to get a reply, and I'm going to give you a reply with the code. So you've got a comment. The first 3 comments are going to get a reply. I'm going to put the code in that reply so anybody could see that reply. So if you do type in a comment, make sure you check my reply really quick, because that code is going to be public. Anybody who comes along could try to use it. So I'm going to put those codes into the comments for the first 3 people who comment below. That way you could get a free copy of this. But like I said in the beginning, all of the assets from Digital Legacy Games are priced really nicely, and they work great. So in future videos, I'm going to get into the other assets that we have here, which are really nice. And for today, I just wanted to cover Page Rect and get a few copies of it for free out to you guys. So thank you for watching. Make sure to head over to Digital Legacy Games Store. I'm putting a link down in the description. And if you're doing anything with the UI, there's probably a really nice solution here to help you out. So thanks for watching. Put a like if you liked the video. Comment below to get a code, and I will see you guys in the next video.